All right, so thought I'd talk about. I thought I'd do a video on one of my favorite genres of music, Latin freestyle or just plain freestyle music. It's like a club dance style of music from started in the early to mid '80s and was became really popular throughout the '80s. After that, and also still was still kind of popular in the very early '90s before it kind of fizzled off some. But during that period, like early to mid '80s through the early '90s, it was one of the most popular forms of dance music. Definitely one of my favorite styles of dance and club music. And I thought I'd do a video talking about it. So it's I always just called it freestyle. Sometimes called it Latin freestyle. Sometimes it's also called Latin hip hop. Of course, it's a form of electronic dance music, retro electronic dance music. Has a lot of there's a lot of influence with it, like electro, boogie, synth pop, high energy, post disco, dance pop, Latin music. It was really popular in New York, Philadelphia, Miami. Um, so like some precursor songs to freestyle would be like 1980, like Planet Rock by Africa Bombata and the Soul Sonic Force. That was from 1982. That was like a really cool hip hop track, popular hip hop track. Um, but that's a big precursor to freestyle music. Let the Music Play by Shannon is considered like one of, if not maybe the first freestyle song. Although there might be like a couple before that though. That was from 1983 though. Let the Music Play. Um, Really cool song. So Niobe, who released the song "Please Don't Go" in 1984. I believe it was first released though in 1983. Um, so I think this is wrong here. I think that actually came just a little bit before "Let the Music Play." "Please Don't Go." That definitely sounds freestyle. Um, I might consider that the first one. So that was yeah. So "Please Don't Go" was the first major song recorded by a Latin American like artist. The first like club song that sounded like freestyle. So Niobe gets credit for that. Not everybody that's you know doing freestyle is Latin American, of course, but the sound is there. You know. Um, from there, freestyle gained a large presence in American clubs. Yep, sure did. It's like um, part of the breakdancing, like part of breakdancing music, like what made that really popular in the early '80s, early to mid '80s. And New York and Miami were like huge for freestyle music, and radio airplayed followed in the mid '80s. Yes, um, there were artists that gained mainstream chart success, like Lisa and Cult Jam, Expose, uh, Stevie B, and like Sweet Sensation, among others. There's a lot more. Um, and that's in like the like late '80s and early '90s. Um, and its popularity faded by the end of the decade. Well, I would say it faded during like the mid '90s maybe, but it was still really popular in the early '90s. It was still pretty big. But like mid to late 80s, yeah, or mid to late 90s, I mean, yeah, it faded. Faded in the mainstream, that is, not among like diehard like club music fans like me. You know, we kept it alive and still do. Um, yeah, both classic and newer freestyle output remained popular as a niche genre. Sure, and it wasn't just popular in America; it was popular in like Latin Latin American countries like Brazil, for instance. It was popular in Germany and Canada as well. That's interesting. Well, I figured it would be popular in Canada and then like Latin American countries. I like that it was popular in Germany too. That's cool. Um, so let's talk about the origin. It developed in the early 1980s, of course. Um, like simultaneously, it says in the Hispanic communities of Upper Manhattan and the Bronx, and in the Italian American communities in Brooklyn, the Bronx, and other boroughs of New York City, New Jersey, Westchester County, and Long Island. Okay. Um, let's see, it was initially a fusion of synthetic instrumentation and syncopatic percussion of 1980s electro. Yeah, I mean, electro obviously has huge influence on freestyle, as favored by fans of breakdancing, sampling, as found in like synth pop music, hip hop. Hip hop has a huge influence on it. Of course, we talked about Africa Bombada, the Planet Rock from 1982, Let the Music Play 1983, which is already considered like the first or one of the very first like freestyle tracks that they're and like I said before, I think Naobi's Please Don't Go was 83, not 84. But it's saying 84, but Naobi's song was the first like Latin presence um, for a freestyle track, so she gets credit for that. um, by 1987, freestyle began getting more airplay on American pop radio stations. Yep. Some really popular songs were "Come Go With Me" by Expose, "Show Me" by the Cover Girls, "Fascinated" by Company B. That's one of my favorites. Fascinated. I like "Show Me" too by the Cover Girls though. "Silent Morning" by Noel, and "Catch Me I'm Falling" by Pretty Poison. I like Pretty Poison. I like their previous song called "Nighttime." That's that one I like more, or that's probably my favorite Pretty Poison song. So songs like that brought freestyle into the mainstream. Then house music, based partly on disco rhythms, was by 1992 challenging the relatively upbeat, syncopated freestyle sound. Oh no, that happened much earlier. Um, House music started in the 80s, and it was already challenging freestyle. Um, House music was already pretty big, and even in the late 80s, but definitely by like 1990, it was right there with freestyle as it being pretty popular. Heck, I remember that. I lived through that. Um, they were both equally very popular. Like I'm saying, circa like 1990. Um, because house music like was the new thing once like the 80s disco music phased out, like high energy and a Euro disco and all that kind of phased out a little bit by the late 80s. Then house music became huge. That's the house music filled the gap. So did freestyle was filling the gap too, though. But I mean, freestyle was music was pretty popular. I mean, really starting in the mid '80s. It became popular pretty fast. Um, so many early or popular freestyle artists and DJs were of Hispanic or Italian descent, including Jelly Bean Benitez. He was a great dance club music producer. Jelly Bean was. Um, oh yeah, the artist Nakara. She wasn't she Italian? She's Italian, right? Nakara. Um, yeah. So Freestyle's top 40 radio airplay started to really take off by 1987. Um, that sounds about right. Yeah, 1987. And it began to disappear from the airwaves in the early 1990s. Well, not at first, because I remember in 90 and 91 it was still really popular. I think 92 it was phasing out. I would say that year, because 90 and 91 I believe it was still it's going pretty strong. 92 was probably the start of that phasing out. Um, yeah, because artists such as George Lamond, Expose, Sweet Sensation, and Stevie B were still heard on mainstream radio, but other notable artists did not fare as well. I remember Cynthia was still on the radio. Cynthia, um, heck, they were still playing Debbie Dub music on the radio, and that was like the early freestyle music. So yeah, Karina. You would hear like the song "Temptation" on the radio. Lizette Melendez, "Together Forever." Those songs were released in 1991. So there you go. So that kept it popular during that year. Like Karina and Lizette were keeping that stuff popular. And then Lisa and Cult Jam was still very popular. They were one of the earliest freestyle acts. Lisa and Cult Jam. Uh, they were going strong through, still at this point. So was Expose. They were still going strong, but they were like crossing over. They were like a crossover act by this point, by like the early '90s. Um, they still sounded really good though. I definitely remember like, let's see here. I of course I remember the song "Seasons Change," but that's slow jam. Still a good song though, and it's sad. It's kind of sad, kind of a sad song. I don't like listening to sad songs too much anymore. um, I mean, I still love my slow jams, but can't listen to sad songs as much as I used to anymore. um, yeah, Brenda K. Starr. She with her ballad, her slow jam. I still believe. Great. That's a great song. Um, she was part of the the freestyle genre, a big part. Brenda K. Starr, she's great, has a great voice. Um, and then of course, like when Eurodance became big, that definitely house and Eurodance kind of washed freestyle out during the from like 92 on up through the mid 90s. That I didn't pay too much attention to New Jack Swing, but like Euro, obviously I mean I definitely paid attention to Eurodance and house and early trance music. Yeah, the early stuff's great. I don't like the later stuff, but the early to mid 90s, like Eurodance, trance, techno, house, that type of stuff's great. I just didn't I like from like maybe 95 or 96 onwards, I just there's very very little that I liked after that. So I strictly stayed old school from that time on. From that time period on. From like 90, there's some songs I really like from 95 and 96, and then that's about it when it comes to club dance music. Um, After that, I want to say after like 96 is my big cutoff date. Like after that, like nothing really appealed to me from like 97 on up. Or very very little. There's probably a couple songs, but like they're very sporadic. Um, and so yeah, I definitely didn't pay attention to freestyle music after, gosh, 92, 93 probably, because well the popularity went down and the music, I just didn't feel like the music was that good. The anything else coming out wasn't very good. It didn't sound the same, didn't feel the same. But the freestyle of the 1980s through the early 1990s was fantastic. Like all the classic jams, all really good stuff. Um, and here it says New York, Let the Music Play was really popular in New York. Planet Rock. A lot of people actually say Planet Rock was the first, was the beginning of freestyle music. You could say that. You could definitely say that. Its producers, Chris Barbosa and Mark Liggett, those are like legendary producers of electro funk and Latin freestyle music. Sure. Um, so like in Miami, like girl groups like Sweet Sensation and Expose were popular. There was a lot more too than that. Like Joyce Sims. I guess that her song "You Are My All in All" became the first freestyle record to cross over into the R&B market. Okay, okay. Yeah, because there was a lot that did do that. Of course, Sapphire was a popular Miami artist too. Um, Debbie Deb, of course. Trinary. I like Trinary's They're Playing Our Song. That's really good. That's really good. I like Debbie Deb's When I Hear Music, Lookout Weekend. Then you got Company B. Um, that's all. I guess that's all the Miami sound there. I really like Company B. That's one of my favorite groups, freestyle girl groups. And Philadelphia. No, so let's check out Philadelphia. Pretty Poison, I guess, is from Philadelphia, so. And I like their song Nighttime. That's from 1984. That's my favorite from Pretty Poison. I think that's their best. Catch Me I'm Falling, though, is really good. That's a very popular one. That's from 87. All right, and then California. Let's see who was from there. A lot of them. Uh, Nobody that I like, or nobody mentioned here that I. Oh, there's a singer called she's Filipino, I believe. Yeah, Filipino American Jaya. She's good. The song from 1990, "If You Leave Me Now." What a good song that was. Jesus. Yeah, she's great. Um, yeah, definitely good. Yeah, I almost forgot about her. Just haven't listened to her for a while. For a, for a long time. And then there was some in Canada too, like Nancy Martinez, famous like she started with like electronic disco and high energy music, kind of funky. Like her early records are kind of funky sounding too. They're really good. Then she did do some freestyle music too, like For Tonight. I like her best from the early '80s though, Nancy Martinez. I like her more like electro, high energy, disco style um, music. Like before she ventured off into like a more freestyle sound. Like some of her records are really good in the Canadian disco genre of that early '80s. It's got like a kind of like a electronic sound. Some of it's high energy, some of it's more disco. High energy is just like a more fast paced electronic form of disco. Um, but Canada didn't have like a disco fallout like America did. They kept on going with their disco music, and it evolved to become a little bit more electronic sounding. Really good stuff. Really good stuff. The center. I mean, I this should go. I'll do a separate video on Canadian disco music, but that was really popular in Montreal. That was the center of it, and of course Toronto as well. But a lot of Canadian disco artists did kind of venture or did something similar to a freestyle sound like later in the '80s, like Nancy Martinez, for instance. But she's a well known artist. I mean, Nancy Martinez has a great voice. Um, yeah, she's great. Um, and elsewhere in the world, let's see, there were European artists as well that were influenced by freestyle music. I believe. Information Society, the song called "Running." I do not remember that song. I recognize the name, but I do not remember what it sounds like. um, well, let's see. Of course, Arthur Baker. You know, he's a huge influence on freestyle music. Arthur Baker and Robbie, along with like Chris Barbosa and Mark Liggett. Geez, how did I do a freestyle video and not mention Arthur Baker until like towards the end of my video? Oh my gosh. Well, it was Arthur Baker that produced the Planet Rock song, right? Yeah, and the Planet Patrol that was like similar to Africa Bambaataa. Yeah, it was Arthur Baker that produced that. Not yeah. Um, so I guess that will end the video. Oh yeah, I did want to mention the British group Freeze. They had an influence actually on freestyle with their song "IOU." The vocalist John Rocca. Um, yeah, I think Arthur Baker produced them or helped produce them too. But yeah, you can't mention. Yeah, they're it had like an electro like high energy vibe to it, and it was around the beginning of the freestyle sound like that. Yeah, Freeze had some strong influence. The song "IOU." There's also another one that I'm thinking of from Peach Boys, I think. There's a song by them that also has some influence on early freestyle music. I forgot what the song was called. But those in the know. So, um, yeah. Let's see. How far are we in? 26 minutes. So I'll name now. I'm gonna name like some of my to close out the video. I'll name like some of my favorite like groups, art and singers. So let's see. Um, so some of my favorites are I really like. There's a lot of girl groups that are good. Sweet Sensation, Company B, the Cover Girls. There's several more. I do like Expose. I like the early Expose songs. Like when they first started out, like the original lineup. Those are the best ones. Um, I like Connie, who did Funky Little Beat and Rock Me and Experience. All really good songs there by Connie. I like let's see what else do I like? I really like the song Tell Me by Siobhan. Shivani or Siobhan, I think it's Siobhan. That's a good, really good song. Of course there's so many. I'm just trying to think of some just that I want to mention before I wrap it up. Um, of course, with Shannon, I like her like Let the Music Play is okay, but I like her later song, like her other songs afterwards. I think are a little bit better. Um, let's see, what are they? They're really really good. Do you want to get away? I think is one of the songs that I really like. That's a good one. That's a really good one. Um, but yeah, she made a lot of good music. She's not one of my favorites, but I mean, it's all high quality stuff though. Um, let's see. Um, man, there's so much. I don't really care for the Nancy Martinez freestyle influence music. Like I said, I like her earlier '80s stuff, like from maybe 84, like 82, 83, 84, 85. Um, like songs like Can't Believe, that's a good one. Can't Believe. Um, Not a freestyle song, but it's a good one. It's a good club dance track. Of course, I do like IOU by Freeze. That's a precursor to freestyle music. Of course, that's a very good song though. Um, And of course with Expose, like their earliest few songs are the best. It's very high energy sounding. I think that's why I like it, because high energy music's one of my favorite genres, like 80s high energy. um, and I'm talking like Lime, like Canadian high energy is my favorite version of like type of high energy music, like Lime, the Taps, that sort of sound. I do like Sylvester too for like high energy music, and Paul Parker. Of course, they're both from the States, I believe. So that will probably wrap it up, though. Freestyle music's really good. Um, oh, Cynthia. Cynthia's a good freestyle artist. Sapphire. There's some more. But we could keep going on and on with this. I didn't mention male freestyle artists too much, but there's a lot of good ones there, too. Um, I just tend to like the female ones for freestyle, though, for the most part. But I like George Lamond. He's good. George Lamond. Um, yeah, he's really good. He did a really good duet with Brenda K. Starr. What was that song called? That was like one of the best slow jams I ever heard in any genre. Was it called No Matter What? Was that it? I think it was like 1990. But yeah, that's a really good one. So check it out if you like your slow jams. If you like your retro slow jams like I do. Um, anyway, I think that's a good place. This is a good place to wrap the video up, I guess. So yeah, I wanted to make a video on this. One of my favorite um, like retro dance styles of music, freestyle or Latin freestyle, however you like to call it. Um, um, let me know. Let me know. Were you around during the time when freestyle was popular? Um, let me know like what artists you like, what groups you like. Always interested to hear what other people like. And I'm gonna do more of these videos. I'm gonna come back with some more music genres. I want to do high energy and like disco um, stuff, and like electro funk and electro and different stuff like that. I like my European disco music too. Um, got some ideas, and well, I hope listeners out there do find my video interesting, and I hope you enjoyed it. And yeah, let me know your thoughts and comments below. Um, and I'll be coming out with more related music videos soon.